I'm Richard Clarke. I record these talks every day as a way to deepen my inquiry. Listen each day and deepen your own practice. Welcome. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. Today is from Talk 281, Part 2. Questioner: have you disciples? Maharshi: I do not give upadesh in the ceremonial manner. For instance, keeping a kumbha, making puja to it, and whispering to the person. The person may call himself my disciple or devotee. I do not consider anyone to be my disciple. I have never sought upadesh from anyone, nor do I give ceremonial upadesh. If people call themselves my disciples, I do not approve or disapprove. In my view, all are alike. They consider themselves fit for being called disciples. What can I say to them? I do not call myself a disciple or a guru. Questioner: how did you approve the building of Skandinashram on the hill, which was temple land, without previously obtaining permission from the authorities? Maharshi: guided by the same power which made me come here and reside on the hill. Questioner: when you threw away your cash, etc., within an hour after your arrival in this place, you did so because you did not desire possessions. You never touch money. There were no possessions for several years after your arrival here. How is it that donations are now accepted by the ashram? Maharshi: this practice grew up at a later stage because a few associates began to use my name to collect funds. I did not approve of their actions nor check them, so it is going on. One man leaves, another steps in, but the process goes on. I do not desire that contributions should be accepted, but people do not heed that advice. I do not desire to give ineffective advice. I do not therefore check them. Since money comes in, property grows spontaneously. This is from Ramana Maharshi's testimony in court. In the 1930s, Ramana Maharshi found himself embroiled in a court case instigated by a former devotee, Paramal Swami, who had managed Ramana's ashrams until it moved down the hill in 1922 to the present location, the site of Ramana's mother's samadhi. Paramal Swami claimed that he was still the legitimate manager of the ashram and challenged Maharshi's authority. Ramana Maharshi's testimony in court aimed to clarify his spiritual standing and rights to property ownership, ultimately defending his authority over Ramana Ashram against Paramal Swami's challenge. In the court inquiry, as documented in Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, each of Maharshi's responses provides insights into his teachings and approach to spiritual matters. First, regarding discipleship, Maharshi explains that he does not impart teachings in a formal or ceremonial manner, such as through rituals like puja or whispered instructions. His view is that all are the same, stating that he does not consider anyone as his disciple, regardless of how they may identify themselves. He also was not a disciple himself. Maharshi neither approves nor disapproves of people considering themselves his disciples. He views all beings as equal. He declines to label himself as a guru or a disciple, expressing his transcendence of traditional hierarchical roles in spiritual relationships. Next, regarding the building of Skandashram. When questioned about the construction of Skandashram on temple land without prior permission, Maharshi says his actions were guided by the same divine power that led him to leave his home in Madurai and come to Arunachala and then to reside on the hill. This response underscores his belief in being guided by an inner spiritual force, which he trusts implicitly to direct his actions. Then, regarding acceptance of donations, Maharshi acknowledges that the practice of accepting donations at the ashram developed later, initiated by devotees who used his name to collect funds without his approval. Despite his disapproval of the practice, he allows it to continue without intervention. Ramana does not interfere because he doesn't wish to give ineffective advice, and he recognizes that devotees may not heed his counsel. He explains that the acceptance of contribution leads to the spontaneous growth of the ashram's property, indicating his passive acceptance of the consequences of devotees' actions. Overall, Maharshi's response reflects his teachings on non-duality, detachment from material possessions, trust in divine guidance, and passive acceptance of the actions of others. They demonstrate his commitment to equality, spiritual autonomy, and non-interference in the affairs of the world. So inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment.